Okay. Okay, we're up to the Mem Zayin and Medalef. On the bottom of the page, there's a Mishnah over there, about 10 lines from the bottom, approximately. Okay, the Mishnah says as follows. We're learning now about if they found a corpse, so they have to there's a whole procedure of Egla Arufa. And that's because they don't know who the person that committed the murder was. So the Mishnah says now as follows. Nimsa ha'haidik. If they found the person that did the killing, so it depends. Adshlain nefra egla. If they found him even before they started the procedure of killing the calf, so the then is taitse betira be'eda. So this nothing happens to the calf is free now to go back together in the barn over there. V is mishener for Eda, Egla. What if the Egla was already decapped? So to cover bimkaimer, you should bury it over there. Why? Sha'al safek basa mitchilasa. The whole reason why we brought this Egla was because we didn't know who did it. So v'shas we did it, we didn't know who did it. So we did nothing wrong. We did the right thing. So therefore, kipras feka v'hachala, it accomplished that. Supposing we wouldn't find the person afterwards, so then we would say, okay, we did what we're supposed to, and there's not more we can do. So if you found them after it was done already, so what you did was right, and you have to bury it and finish. V is nerfa ha'eda, egla. If the calf was capped, v'achakach nimsa ha'edik, and after that they found the ha'edik, so then harezeh yehareg. You kill him. What's the shayla? You found the murderer. So the Gemara is going to answer that question. Now, we're going to have a repeat. We had a Gemara before by sotah. If there's one aid, it's this, one aid, two aid, it's one aid. The same piece, same is repeated now in the Smishra by Egla Arufa. And we're going to learn on the next Amid, on Amid Beis, right? We turn over. A half of the page is a repeat of the Gemara, exact as we had over there. Okay, so now you see. Now he says, if one aid says, I saw the haidik, I saw the murderer, so the showers are saying, later Isa, you didn't see.
He didn't see.
Another, what's he saying? He's saying that you weren't there. He's saying you saw the haidik in this place. You were someplace else at that time. So if there's an aid that says the Isi, so the whole Ega Aruba procedure is only goes by Naidamihiko. But if it's known who did it, even though we don't have him here, then we don't go with the procedure anymore. So he says, or Isha Meres Roisi, the Isha Meres Roisi, which normally a woman is not kosher Eidis. So the din is Hoyu Orphim. Nevertheless, they would, because we can't, the Eidis cancel out each other. The Mela black this as though we don't know who it is, and Mela, so they do the process. What if Eid Echad Aimer Roisi, Ushnayim Aimer Roisa? So again, Hoya Orphim. Why? Because two denied the Eid Echad. Vi is Shnayim Aimer Roinu. The Echad Aimer Lahem Roisa. So it's two against one, but now in the other direction, the two say the Inu is the din because we know who the two Eidos say we know who he is. Now the Mishnah says another interesting thing. Mishirabu Harazchonim, once killing became popular and Botra Ego Arufa. So they no longer had Ego Arufa. That means because so we know who the murderers are. We know that there's a gang or whatever it is. So it's not one of a million people.
No
it's from the gang. We know who it is.
No Egler roof in New York.
Yeah. Mishabor Eliezer ben Dinoi Utechina ben Perisha Hayanikra and Chazer Lekroisa ben Haratzchen, like they have a son of a gun, he's the son of a murderer. He was a famous murderer. So then you don't need that good because we know it's either him or one of his people. Misharabu HaMenafim, once it became popular, Znus became, people are attacked. So Posku Mayim Amorim, so they discontinued the Mayim Amorim. But Rabbi Yechon Bezakai, Hivsikon, the one who decided it was Rabbi Yechon Bezakai. Shenem Shen Pasuk, Le'efkod al B'nai Seichem, Ki says Nana, I will not be involved with your daughters when they will do znus. Val b'nai kalesechem ki seafna ki sena afano ki haim, because it's popular. So people are not careful. We'll soon see more about that also. Mishamesh Yossi ben Yeezer Israeda, he's one of the people that are in Pirkei Avos. V'Yossi ben Yehuda Ish Yisrael, Botru ha'eshkeiros. Eshkeiros, the Gemara is going to say, means a very choshev of people. Rashi says, Meforish b'Gemara shehakol b'hem, because Rashi says, you see the Rashi over here, Ad Yemeim Wahoya Machleka B'Chachmei Yisrael. Kulam Ha'imrim Devorim Kinesinosim Moshe Misinai. V'Heim Harishayim Shenechaku B'Smichas Kabonis. If you should make Smicha on Yontav. Kedamina B'Chagiga. V'Hu Hoya Machlekes Harishayin Shehoya B'Yisrael B'Divrei Torah. That's the first machlek. Till then, everything was clear. That's why Rabbi Yehuda made Mishnayos and everything. We had a rule that the Dvorim Shebiksav, Iyat Rashoy Leimer Bapeh, and we also had a din that Dvorim Shebapeh, Iyat Rashoy Mukaisom. But it was because he saw that people are getting weaker and the minds aren't so clear as they used to be. So that's why they started writing things down. So he says that once these people passed away, so there was no longer the eshkailos, the people that knew everything. There were people had each person had some idea, but not everything. Shenema ein eshko lecho bikuro oisa nafshi. Okay. Yechon Kohen Gadol have ideas hamaisa. Yechon Kohen Gadol ideas hamaisa means there's a vidu when you have to say biyad kaddish ben abayis, the whole thing. So he was mevatel that you shouldn't say it anymore. The Gemara will explain that. Afu bitel es ha'ma'orerim. He also was mevatel the ma'orerim. The Gemara will explain what the ma'orerim were. But as ha'noikvim, noikvim means the bangers, the noisemakers. The Gemara will explain that. And ad yomov hoya patish makeh b'Yerushalayim, on Chol Hamoed you gotta do malacha of a davar avod. So the smiths were permitted to work on Chol Hamoed because they needed it. It was a davar avod. And ubiyomov ain't sort of glishal demai. The mai is if you bought paytas and you didn't know if they took maisa from it or not. So he had to go inquire about him. So in his days, he made that everybody should mice everything, and B'mela, so there was no more question of the might. Okay, the Gemara will explain all these things. Let's go now. Now the Gemara, Tan Rabbanim Minayim Shem Nefo HaEgel, V'akach Nimsa HaHaydik. She'ein Pateres, so I say that the Egel didn't pata him. The Egel patas that we didn't know who it was, and it's sort of, it becomes like a pardoned. So Talmud Lamed Eretz Lo Yechupa Lehem Ledam Asher Shofach Ba. So it didn't forgive the Ki'im B'dam Shofach, not unless they get the blood of the person that caused the murder. Now comes this piece of Gemara that I told you, which is a repeat of what we had a few blocks before. Eidechad. The Mishnah said Eidechad Eimer Yisi, and one says Leida Yisa. So Tamo the Makashrei, Ho Makashrei. If the second aid wouldn't be Eidechad Mehemen, so what they will say, we would trust the second one comes against the first one. But if there wasn't a second one, we would just rely on an Eid Echad. So how do we know that? We had the same question by sotah, that an Eid Echad. So we said a whole mice with a pasuk, that means one. But so now it's the same question. So the Gemara, the Tanur Rabbanan, when do you do it if you don't know who hit him? So from there we see that by Ega Aruba is also an exception to the rule that an Eid Echad is Baglet. Rabbi Kiva says, Minayin, how do we know this on Hedon Sharo Echad Shaharagas and Nefesh? Ve'ein Makirin Isaac, Shaloi Hoya Orphan, that still, even though they can't identify him, still there wouldn't be a din arifa. Talmud Raim veineinu loiro, and v'aloi ro, but over here they saw. So Mela, Zak the Gemara, hashta de Amrit. Now that you said Eid Echad Mehemen, so we always have a call that an Eid Echad Mehemen is like two. Either Chadhu, so the other one is only one. In other words, when we accept the first one, it becomes like two. So Heichi Motzi Makoshet. But Amar Ula said, Kol Mokum Shehemina Toida Eid Echad Harekan Shnayim, Ve'ein Devar of Shalechad B'Mokum Shnayim. So the Gemara Amar Lech Ula, Tani Loi Hoy Orphan. It's a mistake. It should be Loi Hoy Orphan. In fact, the Gemara V'chein Amar Rav Yitzchak, Tani Loi Hoy Orphan. They're amending the Mishnah. So the Gemara Rav Chia Amar, no, we can't change the Mishnah. Tani Hoya Orphan. In fact, the Gemara Rav Chia Kasha the Ula. The Kasha is, if you say why Orphan, Vivalda, we accepted the first one, he's two, and one against two is no good. So the Gemara Le Kasha, Kam Bevasachas. One do we say an Eid Echad is like two, and another one is only one. That's why they didn't come together at the same time. So then the first one becomes established what he said, and the second one is already only one against him. But if they came Zeh, and the first one we made him, we accepted him, he becomes two. That the Gemara, Tanan, we like the Mishnah. Eid Echad Eimer L'Isa Sahaydik. Ushtayim Eimer L'Ida Isa state in the Mishnah that Hoyu Orphan, that they would do it. The Chmasha from this here, Ho Chad V'Chad, Lo Hoyu Orphan. That we were only one against one, and the one became like two, so they wouldn't. The Gemara Tiyufta the B'chia. There's a kasha on a B'chia, because B'chia it holds that. That we accept what the first one said. So he says, we time if you want to be medayik from the Mishnah, so from the Mishnah itself you could be medayik otherwise also. Eimus Seifa, Shnayim I remember Inu, Ve'ed Echad HaMeloidi Sam, So it says in the Mishnah, Loi hoya orfim. Is Masha from this, Ho chad v'chad, hoya orfim. So you see that from the Mishnah you can't bring any proof. There must be something different in the Mishnah. Hello, Masnisen kule b'su edus. Our Mishnah is talking that the edus that came wasn't an aid that we accepted the one like two in the beginning. They were all puzzle edus. They were women or people that puzzle edus. Ukeh Reb Nechemia. And it goes according to Reb Nechemia. Another Reb Nechemia disagrees with what we said before. Ula. Ula said, even if they're puzzle edus. But no, the Mishnah goes according to Reb Nechemia. What does that mean? So he explains the Omar. He says, "Kol mokshamei Torah edechod, holach akarev deyes." It's not like one, like two. It goes the majority of the edus. You follow the majority. V'osu shtei nashim b'shechod, and if there come two women who are definitely posel edus against one man, that's considered kishnei anoshim b'shechod. Now the majority, the women are like two men. The Ikadami, so that's one opinion of Reb Nechemia. One opinion of Reb Nechemia is that there's no such thing by where a place where the Torah believed one, there's no such thing as the one becomes two. Now the Ikadami, some say different. Kol echad also eidecha kosher me'ekara afilu mei noshim ki achar ki echadamyan, that he agrees that there is such a thing by even Mina Torah Eidechad, that even where Mina Torah Eidechad, the Eidechad could be like two. When? If he's a kosher Eid. In this case, we're talking over here, Kegain the Osa Isha Me'ekara, that the Isha is a apostle Eidus. So Mela, she's not considered like two. So over here you go Bosa Rav Deis. The Tirza, the Rabbi Nechemia, and we explain Rabbi Nechemia this way. Rabbi Nechemia, Rabbi Nechemia, Kol Mokshemei Torah Eidechad, Holach Acharav Deis. We go Bosa Rav Deis. V'osu shtei noshim b'isha achas, ki shnei anoshim b'ish echad. Avo shnei noshim b'ish echad. If there's two women against one man, and the one man was a kosher aid, and he was accepted, Edemos is ki palga upalga doming. Then they're equal. And we bow that they're equal, they're like one on one. But that one is considered like two. So then we will accept them. Now, if this is the case, so the Mishnah is telling you two dinim. One din, if the one says Reisa and two say La Reisa, and the second where two say Reisa and one says La Reisa. So it's the same story. Basically what he's saying is that we go Bosarov Deis. So what's the difference if it's two say one way and one says another way, or one says another way and two say another way? Why do you got to tell us two dinim? The din basically you're telling us that we go Bosarov Prekta Gemara. Why do we need two cases of Psu Eidus to tell that we go Bosarabim? So the Gemara the same I would think. Ki azlina Bosarov Deyes l'chumra. To be mechayev that you should make a negla rufa. That's a chumrah. Aval l'kula that you shouldn't make. So then we don't go basar day. We'll say maybe it's a suffix, so maybe you should still make kamash malon that we follow the Rav Deis either way, l'chumrah or l'kula. Okay. Now we're going back to the Mishnah. Mishrabu haratz chonim. The Mishnah said that when murderers became manyfold. Tan Rabbanim Mishraba Haratzchonim Botla Eglarufa. Why? If we she'ena boa ella ala suffix. We don't know because we know them he called. Aber Mishro Haratzchonim Begolu. These people that for them to murder someone, it doesn't mean anything to them. So it's public knowledge who they are. Botla Eglarufa. Then it says. Mishrabu Hanayafim, when adultery became also plentiful, or many, Tan Rabbanan, Shteitin Pasov V'Nika Ishmei Oven, that the husband has to be clean, Bizman Shah Ishmei Nuka Me'oven, Idemos Hamayim Baikin Sishtei. Aber if eine ish menukim oven, eine mayim botkin ishtay. For Ayman, the pasuk says, the Eibush said, "Le'efkel al b'nei seichem kisas neno." I will not pay attention to get involved about your daughters when they'll commit znus. Why do we bring this other pasuk? So Gemara said, "V'chitayma oven the day in the b'nei u'b'nasei loy." In other words, we're saying that Bismansha Ish Menukim Oven, it goes only, we're talking about the husband. This pasuk is telling you that even if the children are also committing adultery, so maybe the mind wouldn't be baidik the mother. So that's it. B'chitayma Oven the day in, it will stop the bedika. Oven the b'nei u'b'nasei, the children and the son, the daughter-in-law's loy, Toshma le'efkel al b'nei seichem kisas neno, ba'al kol seichem the daughter-in-law's ki sino feno. V'chitayma of an eishes ish. That's if they commit a sin with an eishes ish. That's a big crime. In oven the benuya loy, but if they only had a relationship with a single girl, it's not such a serious matter. Tashma kihem im azaynes yifrodu ve'im hagdeshes yizbechu. They're hanging out with the zaynes, with the harlots. My v'am lo yovin yirabed. Am lo yovin means a nation that doesn't understand, doesn't have bina. Yirabe will fall into trouble. Rabbi Lozo, Navi we saw. The Navi said, the Navi is saying this. Im atam akpidem alatz mechem mayim baitkin nishaseichem. V'im lav ein mayim baitkin nishaseichem. Mishrabu. Huh? Mishrabu balei hanoah. Balei hanoah means people that want to have like a easy, happy life. They don't want to work. They don't want to work hard. Nisavu hadinim, v'niskalkulu hamaisim. So dinim became crooked, and things got spoiled. Ve'ein nova ba'olam. There's no peace in the world. That means that listen, if a dayan has an entitlement, he has to work hard to paskin. But if he wants to have an easy time and just like paskin's off the cuff, so to say, so he's not paskin the truth. Then it says Mishroya Raya Ponim Bedin, when the dayanim are people that they look up to choshev people. Is botol loisaguru uposak loisakiru panav b'mishpat upoku ol shemayim v'nos aleim ol bosav adam. People end up going to the court where the judges are bosav adam, not the title. Then the Gemara says misherobu l'chishos, when there were lawyers, that the lawyers would whisper into the ear of the dayan. In other words, they would talk to the dayan before, see what you could do over here, something like that. So Mishirobu Leshe Choshev Bedin, Rabba Charain After Yisrael, V'nistalko Shechina, and the Shechina moves away. Mishum Shenem B'Kerabu Kim Yishpait. The Eibishter is there when they do it the right way, but if they do it the wrong way, the Eibishter moves away from it. Mishirobu Achrei Bitzom Libum Hailach. When they Bitzom Libum means that they're interested in their money. Rabu Ha'arimim Lara Taib Taibra. So Meli could easily bribe the dayan. So he'll say whatever you want. It may be opposite than the truth, but he'll say it. Mishiro Ha'arimim Lara Taib. Once this became popular, So Rabu hoy ba'olam. People say, "Oy vezmir, where, you know, the world is corrupt. Where are we going to?" You, Mishrabu, Moishchei, Charaik. Moishchei Charaik means people that walk around spitting. You know, like I say, like people walk around chewing, you know, blowing bubbles. You know, so Rabu hayaharim. So arrogance became popular. V'nismartu hatalmidim, and there's less people learning Torah. V'haTorah chazeres al lemdeh, and the Torah is looking for its people that will study it. Mishrabu hayehidim, when arrogance became popular, hischilu b'nois Yisrael linosei lihudim. So the Jewish girls, you know, this guy goes around talking so much about himself. So the Jewish girl fell for him, and they married these things. She'ein redeya raya el ufonim, because the people don't go study, don't deep in to find out the real truth. But when they hear this guy walking around telling all the great things about him, so people fall for it. Frek the Gemara, Eini, we know it's not like that. In other words, you're blaming the women, that the women fall for these people. So the Gemara Eini is that the Omar Mar Haiman the Mia, a person that's arrogant, afilu in inche beisa mekabel. He's not even accepted by his wife. Shenem steht in Pasuk, Geber Yoher, V'loi Yonove. That means, Lo Yonove, Afilu Bonoi Shaloi. Benove Shaloi. So you see that even in his house, he's not accepted. So how do you say that the women fall for him? And for the Gemara, Meikora in the beginning, when they're dating and he's telling all his great things about him, so she falls for it. But it was safe once she gets married and she begins to see who he really is, so mitzvah olaya, so they begin to despise that arrogant husband of theirs.
This was 2,000 years ago. What kind of help is there for today?
Mishrabu matilei moleya al balabatim. There were dayanim that besides being a dayan, they were also businessmen. So they would get the rich people, become like partners with the rich people in business. Told the rich people, I have a certain thing to sell, you know. Maybe you take care of it for me, you know. So when that happened, Rabu hashoichet v'atoyis mishput. So once it's like a shoichet, the gvir is working to see that the rabbi should be matzliach and make money. That's a shoichet. Upaska taiva, and goodness stopped. Mishirabu mikablani tevascha umachzazini tevascha. When among the judges that they thank people for doing them favors and everything. So Rabu Isha Yoshemein of Yasa. Shvolim Hubu, people that were low were raised up. V'ha'gavayim hushpulu u'machusa ozlo v'noilo. The whole government is becoming corrupt. Mishirozu tzorei ayin v'torfei teref. When there was tzorei ayin means stinginess, or torfei teref means that people that grab away from others. Rabu ma'amtzei alev v'kayftzei yodayim milahalvos v'ovru amashikosu v'toyra hishamu echo pen l'stikvus es yodcha l'samas es levovcha. In other stinginess came, so people weren't giving tzedakah. Mishirabu the Torah's guidance umeshakris anayim. The Torah's guidance actually means ladies that they walk with the head up and like they wink with their eyes, you know. Rabu Mayim Hamorim. So then there was a lot of znuz going on. So really, there should have been a lot of Mayim Hamorim being used. However, El Shaposko, but it stopped because it became so popular, adultery, that they discontinued it. Mishirobu Mekabu Matonis, Nismartu Hayomim B'Neskatsu Hashonim, Iksiv V'Soinim Matonis Yichem. So people's life was shortened, less years and less days. Mishirobu Zichuchei Hareiv. What is Zichuchei Hareiv?
Conceited in the heart.
Huh?
Conceited in the heart.
What do you say?
Conceited in the heart.
Oh, okay. Rabbi Machlekas
says that they don't listen to the Rebbe, what they do, what they learn.
is Rabbi Machlekas B'Yisrael. Mishirabu Tamidei Shama V'Hilu Shiroi Shimshu Kol Tzachon, that they don't have much shimush. Is that was Rabbi Machlekas B'Yisrael. V'Nasa Torah Kishnei Torahs, because one says this way, one says this way. Mishirabu Mekabel Tzedakah Menoi V'Kachavim. So Hayi Yisrael L'Mayla V'Heim L'Mata. That means it's really the opposite, but it's a Rosh Hashanah. And Yisrael L'Fonim V'Heim L'Ocha. Misha Meis Reisi Ben Ezer said Botar Eshkailis. The Misha Botar Eshkailis. So the more Maya Eshkailis means like what do you call it? A bunch of grapes. Where one is a cluster. Well, one is like piled on top of the other. In other words, they knew everything. Omer Rav Yehuda Mishmur, Ish Shehakal Bay. Yecha ben Kohen Gadol have Haidas Maisa. That you should no longer have to say Biyata Kodesh from Abayis. Begam the Sotah will Levi, the whole thing. My Tama, Omer Rav Yosi Rav Chanina. What happened was, when after the Chum Beis Hamikdash, and there was a period of Galus, and then Ezra brought back the people that Yisrael to build the Beis Hamikdash, but the Leviim didn't come along with him. Now, my sedition is given to the Levi, so they didn't have the Leviim to give it to, and he was masakin that you should give it to the Kahanim. It was also a punishment for the Levium. The Rachmona Amma, the Yoav Levium, the Torah said, my Sedishon, you should give Levium. The Anan, Koyavina, Lekahanim. But we give it to the Kahanim. So that's why you can't say, Gamasate Levi, because they didn't give it to the Levi. In fact, the Gemara, Veloidu Ashar Maisras, but what about the Maisa Sheni and Maisa Oni? They can still say the Haidor for the other Maisras. Amarish Lakish, Kol Bayish She'ei Mizvada Al Ma'aser Rishon, Shuv Ei Mizvada Al Shar Ma'aser. Because it's a Seder, Sheter Pasuk, I'm South Levi. You can't skip, you can't make your own nusach. So if the nusach doesn't flow, then you don't say it all together.
Why should the Levi
My timer, Amar Abaya, Abaya says, Hayu Apostle Ba'akosat Chila. The start Levi, so you can't take that out. It will be at the end, so you would say only up to there and not say that. But to take it out when that's the first thing you have to say. Zot the Gemara Mikral, from here's mashma, they are frushay habim mafreshi, that they weren't giving the Maisa, just this Maisa they weren't giving. Practical mother, but Tanya, we learned Afu bitul esavidu v'gozer al admai. And what does it mean gozer al admai? Lefi sheshalach b'chol gvul Yisrael v'ro, he sent messengers to check up all over v'ro, and he saw she'em mafrishin el truma gedayla. Truma gedayla is not a big amount. Didn't tell you chita achas b'teres is a kri. So that they say, okay, we'll give, but the other thing, 10%, they didn't want to give away. Shem fish el truma gdelu bavad, u'maisa rishon, u'maisa sheni, mikzosen maisen, mikzosen ein maisen. Omar lahem, he said to them, Boyu kam ba'imachem, I will tell you. Kishem shetruma gedoyla yesh ba'ova misa. If you don't give it, it's tevel. Kach trumas maisa v'tevel. From the maisa that you give the Levi has to give later maisa to the kohen. That's called trumas maisa. It says the kach trumas maisa v'tevel yesh b'han ova misa. So Omad v'hiskin, so he made it takana that halakei paid his v'amoras ma'pashim ma'sedishin u'ma'sesheni u'ma'sedishin ma'pash v'menu trumas maisa v'noisna l'kayin, and he brings it to the kayin u'ma'sesheni oilu v'oicha v'yishulayim. What about ma'sa rishon u'ma'sa oni? It's a ma'sa chaveru o v'raya. See, Maisa Shani, the person eats it. He has to take it to Yerushalayim, but it remains by him. But the other Maisa Oni, you have to give away. Maisa Rishon, you have to give away. So that the people say, bring proof that I didn't give it. So what do you see from here? You see from here, the way we went in the beginning is that the people were giving all the Maisa, but they weren't giving Maisa Rishon. And over here we see that when he checked, he sent out inspectors, they weren't giving anything, and he made a takana that you buy from an amorz, you have to give everything, you have to give all the maisas. And for the Gemara, Tauti Tikkun, he made two takonas. Bito vidu the chaverim, that the chaverim shouldn't say the vidu, because they weren't giving it to the Levi because the Levim were there. He canceled the Levim that they shouldn't get it, and also goes out the Maisha Amoretz, that the Maisha for the Amoretz you have to give all the things from it. The Apple Bittul as a Moedim. So what is the Moedim? Means those that are awakening, that are awakened. So the Mosai, my Moedim, Omer Rechava. B'chol yoyim v'yoyim shehoyu oim the Levim al aduchen. The Levim would stand on a platform in the Beis Hamikdash, and they would say certain kapitach tilim. But they would say Udo lo Masisha Hashem. Omar lahem. So he said to the Levim, V'chi yeshino levnei hamokim. Why are you saying Udo lo Masisha Hashem? David is not sleeping. V'alei nama hina v'yona v'yishan shem yisol. Ela b'zman sheyisol shruim b'tzar v'oiv dekacham b'nachas v'shalva demos l'kach demo ura l'masishna Hashem. But now that we're coming back already, we're building the Beis Hamikdash, there's no reason to say it anymore. Ves ha-naikfim, my naikfim. What does it mean? Naikfim means those who are banging, giving a clap. What does that mean? So the Gemara, Omer of Yehuda, Omer Shmuel, Shahayim Mesaltim Egel Ben Kanav. They would make a scratch in the skin of the egel between his horns. Why was it? Kedei sheyipol dam be'enov, in order that it should bleed, and the blood will come down on his forehead, and it'll go into his eyes, it will blind him. Why wasn't it? They wanted to make it easy to be able to shech the behema. So if the behema sees what you're doing to it, it rejects it, it doesn't want. But so they would blind the behema before, but they didn't make, if you knock out the behema's eye, it's a treifa. But if they made a scratch, just set it a scratch like with a needle or what, and it bleeds, that's really not a mum. So he said to them, Osa iyo bottle mishum the mechse ki mum. It looks like a mum. It wasn't really a mum, but it looks like a mum. So he stopped it. And Masechtas Tona shahaya chayftim oisa b'makris. They would knock the behema with sticks. Why would they knock the behema with sticks? Kedero she'oisin oisa levnei habayis gechavim. By the goyim, they don't shech the behema. So how do they make a korban? They kill the behema. So by the Yidden, they would knock them with sticks, not to kill them, You know that he should fall down, and it'll be easier to shecht him. So, Amalahem ad mosatam achilim nevegus lumizbeach. You're bringing a nevela to mizbeach. Frek the Gemara, nevelas. A nevela means a dead animal. Ha shachadu. They shechted it, so it's not a nevela. Ella treifus. I meant treifus. Why do I call it treifus? Because shema nikav krum shomayach. Maybe when you hit the behemoth in the head, so it could be there's a casing that has the brain in it, and you broke that, it caused a brain, and the brain will begin to leak out. That's a treifa. Omad v'hiskalan tabois b'kaka. So he made a takana that they should make rings on the floor, and they would put the behemoth's head into a ring, so the behemoth couldn't move around, and it was easier to shecht it. Said the Gemara, Ad Yomov, another thing, Hoya Patish Maka B'Yerushalayim. So when was that? So the Gemara B'Chayla Shomayed, that was Chal Moed. They used to allow the smiths to work with the hammers in Chal Moed if it was a davar ha'avod. And why did they stop it? So Rashi said before, because you heard it made a lot of noise, and in Yerushalayim the people saw that they were working on this. So they saw what they're working on, so they realized that it's a davar oven. But far away, they only heard the noise, so they said, "Oh, in Yerushalayim you're allowed to work, so we're also going to work." And lahaya adam tzorach lishol adamai kedamorim, like we explained, because everybody was giving all the trumas and ma'asos. Let's start the next mission. Mishabot l'Sanhedrin. Once the Sanhedrin, before the Churban Beis Hamikdash, the Sanhedrin used to sit in Lishkas HaGozos, which was right next to the Beis Hamikdash. And before that, the Sanhedrin went into Golus, 40 years before that. So he says, Mishabot l'Sanhedrin, botlo hashir mi Beis HaMishtois. People used to, Beis HaMishtois means like you want to call it like a bar. Like the people go to the bar, they would drink wine and they play music. It was very jolly mood, I said. But that was stopped. Shenema b'shir lo yishtu yayin. They drink wine, but not together with music, because that shows that you're not bothered at all about the chum, the impending chum. Mishameisa neviim arishonim, botlo urim v'tumim. Mishachar Beis Hamikdash, botlo hashomer v'neifes sufim. The shomer was a bug. You hear that? A bug, and that bug was able to go into stone, to cut stone. Yeah. And neifes sufim, the Gemara will explain that it. Upasko anshe amona. They were no longer anshe amona. Pasha means trustworthy people. Misol shenema Hashi Hashem ki gomer chosed. In other words, it's finished. There's no more chosed. Reb Shimon Gamliel Aimer, hey Reb Yeshua, that miyem shechor Beis Hamikdash, ein yom she'ein be'kola. Every day, chas v'sholom, there's troubles. V'loi yorad atal u'bracha. The dew did not bring the bracha that it had to bring. V'nito tamar peiros. The peiros lost its taste. You know, the peiros was a healthy fruit. The healthy power in the fruit was no longer there. Rav Yossi Omer af nito shuman peiros. Shuman peiros means like you know, by wheat they have wheat germ. So in the peiros there was also a certain fat, which is not just taste but also the healthy power. Rav Shimon ben Elazar Omer hatara nitlo es harayach. And Amaisis Natul Shuman Hadogan. In other words, the lack of Tara caused that the reich of in the peiros, the good smell that the peiros had became bottled, and the not giving Maisa caused that the wheat germ of the dogan. Haznus Vakshofim kill was akal. That killed everything. Okay. Stop over here.
Simon B'Tev.